Good day. Today I'm reviewing the Ramona books. If you look at the summer reading list, at least one of them recommends you read, it just says, I believe, just Ramona books. These are by Beverly Cleary. Most kids actually, at least most of you parents, probably remember Ramona. If you were like me, you read several of them as a child. And I actually bought a box set at Costco a few years ago for my kids, and they read, I think, all of them. So rather than review each one, I'm just going to tell you what I would recommend for particular age groups and what to look out for. Something that, just so you know, that actually although they say they're by Beverly Cleary, a little known fact is Beverly Cleary did not actually sit down and write out or type out all the words that you see in all the books. She actually had ghostwriters, similar to what like somebody like James Patterson will do, where she would just say, here's the plot, you go ahead and write it. And she would say, here's what I want to happen. And then the ghostwriter would write it out, which is why she was able to shoot out so many books that we read as kids. Now, that might disillusion you. But if you aren't bothered by that, go ahead and read the Ramona books. You don't have to read them, by the way, in any particular order. There is a chronological order of the books going from starting with Beezus and Ramona, when Ramona is in preschool, going all the way up to, I think, about 10 years old. But although sometimes there's an overarching plot through all of the books, even with that happening, each of the chapters are pretty much a story unto themselves about Ramona and her sister and her family. So let's get started. I would say if your kids are younger, about first or second grade, it'd be just right for them to actually start with the original books of the early books where Beezus and Ramona in the Pest, or Ramona the Pest. Beezus and Ramona is Ramona as a preschooler and constantly annoying her older sister, Beezus, and whose real name is Beatrice, but because Ramona can't say it, she calls her Beezus, hence the name. And there are a lot of great cute stories. They're stories that my kids giggled at and laughed at. You know, it's funny when Ramona does it. Of course, it's not funny if your own kid does it. But they'll enjoy it, and it's actually a great one to read to just as a bedtime story. The chapters are pretty short. And just a side note. Then, of course, Ramona the Pest takes over when she goes into kindergarten. I read that one many times, actually, several times in my fourth grade year, I believe. And it's a great one, a lot of fun stories. Of course, kind of the overarching plot is her relationship with her teacher and some of the other students. So the one thing I'd say you want to be careful of is they get less funny as she gets older, and they get more serious as she gets older. So if you are not ready for your kid to be worrying about, say, things like troubles in the home with financial issues, dad losing his job, and kind of the more serious issues, then maybe you might want to wait till they're about 7 or 8 or 9 before they start reading those ones. But if that's not going to bother your kindergartner the other thing is, I think your kindergartner is probably not going to find it that interesting to read Ramona and her father, since it's just a deeper story. It's not silly. It's Ramona dealing with her dad. So just be aware of that. But they're all about second grade to fifth grade level as far as reading difficulty. If your kid can't read it yet, your kid can almost certainly understand it being read aloud. So there it is. The Ramona books, I, of course, recommend them. I enjoyed them. And nothing that I would call inappropriate. You might want to discuss with your kid about the fact that sometimes just because Ramona does it and it's funny in the book does not mean you should go ahead and do that. I do want to point that out because my sister actually did that very thing where one of the chapters in Beezus and Ramona is a story where Ramona decided that she wanted to have a party. And so she told all of her preschool friends that she was having a party on Saturday that weekend, but didn't tell her parents. So suddenly all of her friends showed up for this birthday party that her mom and the older sister had to scramble and kind of put things all together and try to get, and I happened to mention that one time in my house. I said, oh, here's this funny thing that Ramona did. And my younger sister, was listening to the story and thought, that's a great idea. And she actually tried that. Luckily, what happened was one of the moms, the mom of my sister's friend, called up my mom's house about a couple days beforehand to ask a question. She had a question about this upcoming party that my sister was supposedly having. And my mom said, what? What party are you talking about? And then, sure enough, she figured out that my sister had pulled a Ramona on her, and luckily my mom was able to get ahead of it and get all the friends' parents to know, no, there is no party happening. So, what's obvious to us as adults isn't always as obvious as we think it is to the kids, but, something to maybe mention. So, there it is. Enjoy the book.